What is going on, everybody? Today is lesson 7 of my Python for Beginners full course program. In my last video, we talked about a very powerful concept called while loops. For loops were really powerful. At first, we needed to have some kind of data to loop through, and as long as there is data available, that loop will keep running. But once there's no more data to go through, it will stop the loop. Today, we're going to be talking about the while loop, which is also very powerful. But the main difference between the for loop and the while loop is that the for loop needs data to loop through, and the while loop just loops on forever and ever until a certain condition is met or we force it to quit. Most of my followers are interested in creating their own video games with their own code. So if that is you, then the while loop will be very essential to that, because the while loop is what will run your game. If the player wants to play the game, then the player is going to click a button that will activate the while loop, and your loop will go on forever and ever. In other words, the game will keep going until the user decides to stop the game. They might click a button that will deactivate the loop and quit the game. So let's see how this works. So let's look at what we've seen before with the for loop. If you've seen my previous lesson, lesson 6 on the for loop, then you'll remember that we needed some of that data. We had something like heroes, and we had some kind of a list which listed some heroes in there, like Spider-Man, Hulk, Vision, Wanda, so on and so forth. And then we created our loop like this for name and heroes, print that name, and just by doing that and hitting run, it's going to print each of these over and over again. So remember, we needed data for our for loop to work. So if you missed that video, that is a very important lesson. I would suggest looking at this video up above in this card and go ahead and check out that video. However, it's not required for you to understand the while loop, but it will very much help you. So as that is working with the for loop, we won't necessarily have to have any data for our while loop. If you guys remember from a previous lesson when we were talking about conditionals, we built a program to check for a user's age. So let's create an age again. I'm gonna say that age is 10. And I'm gonna say if age is less than 16, print you are too young to drive a car. Otherwise, print you are old enough to drive. So let's hit run and see how this works. So your program's checking age. Is age greater than or less than 16? It is less than 16, so this will run true. So it should say you are too young to drive, and it does. And let's just double check if I'm 16. Yes, it says you're old enough to drive, and anything above 16 should work as well. Perfect. We did this before a couple lessons ago, and this was a very simple program. But watch what happens when I apply the while loop. There's only one thing that I'm going to change in here, and that is the word if. I'm going to change that word if to while, and there you go. That is the while loop. The while loop is just like an if statement. It's going to check if something is true. So if my age is less than 16 in this case, then this will run forever and ever. So it should say you're too young to drive, and it'll just keep going. Let's see if that's true. I'll hit run, and now you can see it says you're too young to drive a car, and it just keeps going. Now I actually have to force it to stop because it will literally just keep going. Now let's see what happens when I change my age to something over 16. So I'm gonna say 18. When I hit run, now it says you are old enough to drive. So your computer checked, is age less than 16? No. So it skipped the loop, and then it ran this else. Else print you are old enough to drive, and it did. Just like an if statement. A lot of coders don't know this, but in Python, the while loops, you can use an else just like you would with an if. A lot of you have been asking, why isn't the else running forever and ever? Because this is not inside your while loop. This is inside your while loop, but this is not. So since something was not true, it did not run. Now I'm gonna change my while loop. Instead of having it loop forever and ever, I actually want my loop to stop when a certain condition is met. So let's change up our program a little bit. Right now, we are going to print age above this print statement. And then above this print statement, we're also going to print age. So when I run it, it should just be printing the age above it. But we are going to add 1 year to the age every single time the loop runs. So just underneath your original print statement on you're too young to drive a car, we are going to set age to whatever the current age is plus 1. I'm going to now change my age to something younger than 16. I'll say 10. And if I hit run, look at this. It says 10, you are too young to drive a car. 11, you are too young to drive a car. And you can see that age just keeps increasing 1 year. But once it reaches 16, your computer asks, is age less than 16? No. So it skips the loop and it ran my else. It printed 16 and then it says you're old enough to drive. And just to prove that it is breaking down my loop, down here I'm going to print have a nice day. And now if I hit run, you can see it just says have a nice day after all this has been done. So this is pretty cool that I can do all these calculations instantly just by using a loop. Now let's use something that's a little bit more useful. I would never actually write a program like this in my programs. It doesn't make sense to, but I'm glad that we did that activity because it helps us really understand the behavior and the characteristics of a while loop. Now we are going to learn something called user input validation. User input validation is really neat because if we are asking the user, would you like a soda or water? What if the user types in Superman? Well, that is obviously not on the menu. So we want to help the user out, but we should let them know that what they typed in was incorrect and they need to say either soda or water specifically. So I want you to create this program with me. We're gonna get the user's input. So I'm gonna call this order and we are going to get the input, and now it's time to let the user know it's time to type something. So I'm gonna say, would you like soda or water? So if I type that in and hit run, it's saying, would you like soda or water? Now the user can type whatever they want. And when they hit enter, that's gonna be stored inside of order. So now let's see what they said. So if the order is double equals to soda, in other words, if the user typed the word soda, then I want it to print, I'll get you a soda. Elif order is double equals to water, print H2O it is. So let's see what happens when I run this. It says, would you like soda or water? I'm gonna say soda, hit enter. Now it says, I'll get you a soda. Perfect, let me hit run again. Would you like soda or water? I'll test water now, hit enter. And it says H2O it is. So that is working perfectly, but if the user types in something else other than soda and water, what do you think will happen? Well, let's test it out and see. I'm just gonna say Superman. Now it says nothing. Now I don't want it to say nothing. I want it to let the user know that they typed something incorrect. But not only that, but I want it to repeat the question so that they have an opportunity to try again. So I want to create my while loop and we're gonna put it above my input. That way the user, if they make a mistake, they'll be able to input again. So I'm gonna say while something is true. Now in this case, I don't have anything true or false like an age, but we can use a Boolean. If you don't remember what Booleans are, you can refer to my very first lesson of this full course in this card above. Remember, Booleans were just true and false. So you can create a variable named whatever you want. I typically say repeat, and I'm gonna say equals true. So if I say while repeat, my computer's gonna ask, is repeat true? Yes, it is. So it's gonna run this loop. But guess what? There's nothing inside my loop. That's because of indentation. Remember, indentation is very important inside of Python because that is determining the block of code. So I'm just gonna show you a quick little trick. I'm gonna highlight everything that's underneath my while loop and I'm going to hit tab just once. And now everything is perfectly indented inside of my loop. So I'm just going to hit run and see what happens. Would you like soda or water? Soda. And now it's repeating. Would you like soda or water? Water. And if I type anything else, it's just going to repeat anyways. So this is working pretty good so far. Now I want to check to see if the user is saying anything else other than soda and water. So let's come up here and do an else. So if the user does not type in soda or water, then print, I'm sorry. And I'll use string interpolation. So I'll have F for format and I'll say inside of the squiggly braces, I'm sorry, order is not on the menu. Please try again. Now I'm gonna type in Superman. And it says, I'm sorry, Superman is not on the menu. Please try again. And now it's letting me try again. Now I'm gonna say soup. Sorry, I spelled supo, but it says, I'm sorry, supo is not on the menu. Please try again. So this is working great. But I don't want it to repeat if I type something correctly. If the user types in soda or water, then we don't need them to type it in again, right? Whenever we type something correctly, I want the loop to break. So we are going to set repeat to false if they type soda. And if they type water, I'm gonna set repeat to false, because once it prints H2O it is, or I'll get you a soda, it will come back up here and it's gonna check to see if repeat is true or false. If it's false, it will break out of the loop. So let's actually create a print statement outside of our loop. So make sure you're all the way to the left to your wall, and I'm going to print, whoops, have a nice day. So whenever it says have a nice day, I know that it is officially out of my loop. So let's run this. Would you like soda or water? I'll say soda, and it breaks out of my loop. It says I'll get you a soda, and it set repeat to false, and now it says have a nice day. I'm gonna test water now. Let's hit run. Would you like soda or water? Water. H2O it is, have a nice day. So that broke as well. And now if I say salad, it says, I'm sorry, salad is not on the menu. Please try again. Would you like soda or water? And I can just keep typing all day until the user types something correctly. So congratulations if you went through the while loop. That is very powerful. The next program is going to be a full out login feature where the user has to type in a correct email and password for them to access the rest of your program. So stay tuned for lesson 8 for those next steps. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know down in the comments. If you have not already, please like and subscribe so that you are notified whenever I come out with the next lesson. Thank you guys so much, and happy coding.